Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever felt stuck? Like the world is moving fast. Opportunities are slipping through your fingers, and no matter how hard you try, you just can't catch up? I want you to know something right now. There is a fundamental difference between those who win in life and those who watch from the sidelines. It's not about luck. It's not about talent. It's about mindset. The people who win, they don't just act differently, they think differently. They see possibilities where others see problems. They take action when others hesitate. They embrace fear as a signal to grow, not a reason to retreat. They commit to their own growth every single day, learning, adapting, pushing themselves beyond what they thought possible. And most importantly, they focus relentlessly on solutions, not excuses. Today, I'm here to ignite that fire in you, to show you that the way you think, the choices you make, and the lens through which you see the world, these are the things that will determine whether you rise or whether you stay where you are. Winners think differently, and if you're ready, it's time you do too. The way winners approach life begins with their mindset, because they understand that everything starts in the mind. They don't just react to circumstances, they shape their reality through the lens of possibility and opportunity. While many people see obstacles and setbacks as barriers that define their limits, winners perceive these same challenges as invitations to grow, to stretch beyond what they thought possible, and to innovate in ways that others never even consider. Their mindset is not passive, it's active, intentional, and relentless. It is a mindset that refuses to accept mediocrity and refuses to allow fear, doubt, or past failures to dictate future outcomes. Winners recognize that life will never be perfect, that circumstances will often seem unfair, and that external forces can never fully control their inner world. What matters most is how they choose to respond, how they choose to interpret events, and how they decide to take ownership of their results. Every thought they entertain, every belief they hold, and every story they tell themselves is filtered through the question, how can I turn this into an advantage? This perspective transforms what seems like a dead end into a new beginning, a problem into a puzzle waiting to be solved, and a failure into a stepping stone toward mastery. The power of mindset lies in its ability to shape perception. Winners know that their emotions, energy, and motivation are all deeply tied to how they think about the world around them. When they encounter difficulties, they don't dwell on what went wrong or who is to blame. Instead, they immediately ask, what can I learn? How can I adapt? How can I rise? This mindset creates momentum because it moves them from victimhood to empowerment. They embrace responsibility not as a burden, but as the key to freedom. They also understand that success is not a destination. It is a practice, a discipline, and a way of thinking that must be cultivated daily. Winners feed their minds with empowering beliefs, surround themselves with perspectives that elevate them, and constantly challenge the limiting narratives that others accept without question. Over time, this mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because it dictates the actions they take, the risks they are willing to pursue, and the persistence they demonstrate when faced with adversity. It is this mental framework that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who remain stuck in cycles of frustration, doubt, and unmet potential. Winners don't wait for opportunity to knock, they create it. They don't wait for inspiration to strike, they generate it through disciplined thought and intentional action. They understand that the quality of their life is determined not by circumstances, but by the quality of their thinking and the beliefs they choose to reinforce every single day. This is why mindset is more than just a concept. It is the foundation of achievement, the engine of progress, and the defining factor in the journey toward success. Action is the bridge between dreams and reality, and winners understand this truth more deeply than anyone else. They know that thinking, planning, and hoping alone will never create extraordinary results. What matters is taking decisive, consistent action. Most people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect moment, for conditions to align, or for someone else to give them permission to move forward. Winners reject this mindset entirely. They understand that waiting is the enemy of success and that the world rewards those who do, not those who hesitate. When faced with uncertainty, they don't stall, they move. They don't rationalize or justify inaction. They act boldly, even in the face of fear. Every small action compounds over time, creating momentum that propels them toward their goals. The key difference is that winners focus on progress, not perfection. They know that mistakes are inevitable, but they view each misstep as feedback, a chance to adjust, refine, and improve. They don't let the fear of failure paralyze them because they recognize that inaction is far more costly than making a mistake. Winners cultivate a bias toward action. They understand that clarity comes through movement, not contemplation. By acting, they gain insight, experience, and confidence, which then fuels the next step forward. They also know that action is a form of commitment. When you act decisively, you signal to yourself and to the universe that your goal is non-negotiable. This energy attracts opportunities, resources, and support that would never appear for someone who remains passive or hesitant. Winners take responsibility for initiating change rather than waiting for external circumstances to dictate their path. They embrace urgency without recklessness, combining thoughtful planning with rapid execution. This approach allows them to seize opportunities quickly, adapt to changing circumstances, and stay ahead of the competition. Importantly, winners recognize that consistency and action builds character, resilience, and trust, both in themselves and from others. They understand that grand visions are realized not through sporadic bursts of effort, but through daily intentional steps that accumulate into massive results. They embrace the idea that action is contagious. Once they start, momentum grows, obstacles seem smaller, and confidence strengthens. The energy generated by persistent action creates a cycle of progress that compounds over time, making success inevitable for those who refuse to remain idle. Every decision to move forward, every choice to act rather than delay, reinforces the belief that they are in control of their destiny and that true winners do not wait for life to happen. They make it happen. Winners understand that life is inherently uncertain, and instead of fearing the unknown, they embrace it as a source of power and opportunity. While most people are paralyzed by doubt, unpredictability, and the possibility of failure, winners see these same conditions as the very environment in which growth and transformation occur. They recognize that certainty is an illusion, and those who cling to comfort zones will inevitably limit their potential. Fear is not ignored but reframed. It becomes a signal that they are on the edge of expansion, a marker that they are about to step into a space that will stretch their abilities, sharpen their skills, and expand their vision. The willingness to face uncertainty requires courage, but winners cultivate it intentionally. They understand that every breakthrough, every innovation, and every significant achievement comes from navigating uncharted territory. This mindset allows them to take calculated risks without being reckless, to explore new ideas without being paralyzed by doubt, and to pursue ambitious goals without waiting for perfect conditions. They understand that progress lives outside of familiarity and that the magic of life happens when they challenge themselves to act in spite of fear. Embracing uncertainty also fosters resilience because winners are not dependent on stability or external validation. They cultivate internal resources, clarity, confidence, and determination that allow them to adapt rapidly to changing circumstances. When plans fall apart or expectations are unmet, they pivot quickly, seeing obstacles not as dead ends, but as detours that may lead to better outcomes. This flexibility is a hallmark of their thinking. They anticipate change, prepare for it, and welcome it as part of the journey rather than resisting it. Winners also inspire others by their comfort in the unknown. When they confront uncertainty with composure, curiosity, and energy, they create a ripple effect that motivates those around them to stretch beyond their own perceived limits. They know that fear is temporary, but regret lingers, and they refuse to let hesitation rob them of potential. Every uncertain moment becomes an opportunity to learn, to test limits, and to discover capabilities they never knew they had. By reframing fear and unpredictability as tools rather than threats, winners transform challenges into fuel for action. They cultivate a mindset that thrives under pressure, that sees potential in chaos, and that understands that the road to extraordinary achievement is rarely smooth or predictable. In doing so, they turn uncertainty into an ally, using it to drive innovation, creativity, and progress, rather than allowing it to dictate their path or diminish their ambition. This approach requires discipline, self-awareness, and a relentless commitment to embracing discomfort as a catalyst for growth. Winners understand that growth is not optional, it is essential. They recognize that the world is constantly evolving, and to stay ahead, they must evolve faster. This commitment to personal and professional development is what separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who plateau in mediocrity. They do not settle for what they already know or what feels comfortable. Instead, they actively seek out challenges, knowledge, and experiences that expand their capabilities. Continuous learning becomes a way of life, not a task to check off a list. Winners approach every day with curiosity and a hunger for improvement. They read, study, observe, and practice relentlessly, understanding that mastery is built through consistent effort and intentional growth. They embrace feedback as a gift, even when it is uncomfortable, because they know that honest insight accelerates improvement and reveals blind spots that can hinder progress. More than that, winners recognize the value of adapting. In a world where change is the only constant, rigid thinking leads to stagnation. Those who succeed cultivate the ability to pivot, innovate, and adjust strategies while maintaining focus on their ultimate goals. They do not fear new methods, technologies, or ideas. They experiment, iterate, and integrate lessons from every success and failure alike. Their commitment to growth extends beyond skills and knowledge. It encompasses mindset, emotional intelligence, and resilience. Winners understand that developing self-discipline, patience, and emotional control is just as critical as acquiring technical expertise. They invest in themselves, holistically, knowing that every aspect of personal development compounds over time, creating a stronger, more capable, and more confident individual. Persistence is a key part of this growth mindset. Winners push through discomfort, uncertainty, and resistance, because they understand that meaningful growth rarely occurs in easy or predictable circumstances. They embrace challenges as opportunities to stretch, to discover latent potential, and to redefine what is possible. Furthermore, winners surround themselves with other growth-oriented individuals. They seek mentors, coaches, and peers who challenge their assumptions, broaden their perspective, and inspire higher standards. They recognize that growth is accelerated in environments where excellence is expected and supported. By committing to continual improvement, winners cultivate adaptability, resilience, and vision. They understand that every step toward growth, no matter how small, builds momentum that propels them closer to their goals. This dedication becomes a self-reinforcing cycle. Learning fuels action, action produces results. Results inspire further learning, and the cycle continues. Over time, this relentless pursuit of growth develops a level of competence and confidence that others recognize, attracting new opportunities, influence, and impact. Winners never stop investing in themselves because they know that personal evolution is the foundation upon which all lasting achievement is built. Winners have a distinctive way of approaching problems that sets them apart from everyone else. They focus relentlessly on solutions rather than dwelling on obstacles. While most people get caught in cycles of complaint, blame, or frustration, winners train their minds to see opportunity and action in every situation. They understand that problems are inevitable in life, but suffering is optional, and how they respond determines whether they remain stuck or move forward. This solution-oriented mindset begins with perspective. Winners recognize that every challenge contains a lesson or a doorway to growth. Instead of asking, why me, or who is at fault, they immediately shift to the question, what can I do next? This simple mental pivot transforms energy from stagnation to movement. By focusing on what is possible rather than what is wrong, they tap into creativity, resourcefulness, and resilience that others fail to access. Winners also understand the power of clarity. When a problem arises, they dissect it carefully, separating facts from assumptions and identifying the areas where action can make a tangible difference. They do not waste time on whining, overthinking, or worrying about things outside of their control. Their energy is directed toward areas where influence and impact are possible. This focus generates momentum, as even small steps toward resolution accumulate into significant progress. Another defining trait of winners is their refusal to let emotions dictate decisions. Challenges can trigger fear, frustration, or self-doubt, but winners train themselves to remain composed and objective. They see obstacles as data points rather than threats, allowing them to make decisions with confidence and clarity. This discipline creates a sense of empowerment because they understand that every problem has a solution and every solution begins with the willingness to act. Winners also leverage collaboration and perspective. They seek insights, advice, and alternative viewpoints, not out of weakness, but as a strategy to uncover creative solutions that may not be apparent alone. They understand that innovative solutions often arise from diverse thinking, experimentation, and the courage to try new approaches. In doing so, they create a pattern of proactive behavior that becomes self-reinforcing. Focusing on solutions builds confidence, taking action generates results, and results further reinforce the habit of solution-oriented thinking. By training themselves to always look for paths forward, winners develop a mindset that sees possibilities in the midst of adversity. EY do not allow temporary setbacks to define them. Instead, they use challenges as fuel to accelerate progress. Over time, this consistent focus on solutions shapes not only their outcomes, but their identity, embedding resilience, creativity, and determination into the very way they approach life. It becomes a way of operating that allows them to navigate uncertainty, overcome obstacles, and consistently achieve results that others might deem impossible, because winners understand that mastery lies in how consistently they turn problems into opportunities.